Are you struggling to come up with original content week in and week out? Start a podcast. Interview your ideal clients, let them talk about what they care about most, and never run out of content ideas again. Learn more at sweetfishmedia.com.
You're listening to B2B Growth, a daily podcast for B2B leaders. We've interviewed names you've probably heard before, like Gary Vaynerchuk and Simon Sinek, but you've probably never heard from the majority of our guests. That's because the bulk of our interviews aren't with professional speakers and authors. Most of our guests are in the trenches leading sales and marketing teams. They're implementing strategy. They're experimenting with tactics. They're building the fastest growing B2B companies in the world. My name is James Carberry. I'm the founder of Sweetfish Media, a podcast agency for B2B brands, and I'm also one of the co-hosts of this show. When we're not interviewing sales and marketing leaders, you'll hear stories from behind the scenes of our own business. We'll share the ups and downs of our journey as we attempt to take over the world. Just kidding. Well, maybe. Let's get into the show.
Hey everyone, it is Kelsey Kors with Sweetfish Media. Welcome back to our new podcast series. We are really excited to share with you a new show that we just launched for our friends over at Proofpoint. Today we're going to share with you a quick snippet from their very first episode. This episode was hosted by Ken Spencer Brown, and it features Robert Powell, Editorial Director Americas and Thought Leadership at the Economist Intelligence Unit. If you think you'll find the show valuable after you check out the snippet, just search Protecting People in Apple Podcasts or your favorite podcast player. Make sure you subscribe, and if you really like it, don't forget to leave a review. It's a great way to help people find new podcast content. And maybe the show isn't up your alley, but you know someone who could be interested. Send them a text message, a LinkedIn message, a Facebook message, a smoke signal. I don't know, anything you can think of to get their attention. It could be a really thoughtful way to let someone in your network know that you're thinking about them and looking to share valuable resources. Here is the snippet from Ken in his conversation with Robert Powell.
Let's start with a phrase from the title of the report that really stood out, Threats from Within. What does that mean?
Well, thanks, Ken, and many thanks for inviting me on. Threats from within. So, in effect, what we're referring to here are people vulnerabilities. So this can include anything that emanates from phishing or ransomware or malware or business email compromise. I mean, these are all the kind of issues, but they're quite distinctive from some kind of technical attack that might come via over your computer or something that's has very little actually human element. In this case, it's a little more difficult when we're dealing with people because you can't necessarily patch a person. You might be able to patch a person. Maybe able to patch a system, but not a person. And so we found, and this was no great surprise, but the level of it was something of a surprise. 85% of the respondents we spoke to. So we did a survey of CIOs, CISOs, other IT executives, and so forth. 85% of them agreed that most cybersecurity breaches are the result of human vulnerabilities. It's not because of technology, it's not because of processes, it's people. And so that's what we mean when we're talking about threats from within.
That's interesting. The 85%, that sounds pretty high. Was that a surprise?
I think the level was something of a surprise. We always think that everything is extremely sophisticated and intricate. But I had an interesting conversation with a gentleman who's the chief security officer, and he said you need to look at these kind of things as almost two-faceted or multifaceted. So on the one hand, you have the Pink Panther kind of attacks. So somebody's going in using all kinds of clever wires and getting the diamond, if you know the movie, The Pink Panther. But then there's all kinds of attacks where someone's just opportunistically walking down the road, trying to open the door and seeing if someone didn't lock the door that day. And a lot of that is human error. But it turns out that actually, in effect, the people not locking their doors and making simple mistakes is the back door, if you will, that criminals are using to access systems. I just didn't realize it'd be quite that prevalent. 85% is a phenomenally high figure.
All right, everyone. We really hope you enjoyed that short clip from Ken Spencer Brown and Robert Powell. Ken is going to be a fantastic host along with all of the other hosts at Proofpoint. If you're listening to the show, we know you're thinking about growth. So no matter what your role is in sales, marketing, or another function, if you're looking to drive growth for your organization, we definitely think you'll get value from subscribing to the show as you learn more about the human side of cybersecurity. Again, just search Protecting People in Apple Podcasts or wherever you do your listening. Subscribe, leave a review if you like it, and tell a friend if you think they'd enjoy it. Thank you so much and have a wonderful day. Until next time.
I hate it when podcasts incessantly ask their listeners for reviews, but I get why they do it, because reviews are enormously helpful when you're trying to grow a podcast audience. So here's what we decided to do. If you leave a review for B2B Growth in Apple Podcasts and email me a screenshot of the review to james@sweetfishmedia.com, I'll send you a signed copy of my new book, Content-Based Networking, How to Instantly Connect with Anyone You Want to Know. We get a review, you get a free book. We both win.